It's not a problem that Islam is incompatible with democracy, but the Arab world, for all sorts of complicated reasons, historical and the influence of the Wahhabis and others, is a very, very hard case.
We know that Syria has agents, maybe hundreds of them, I think, in Iraq, trying to make sure that the Iraqi experiment with freedom, human rights, and democracy fails. We know that Iran has agents doing the same thing. We know the Saudis are in there paying Wahhabi clerics.
Should the United States and other freedom-loving people, including the people of Iraq, now lose the battle of Iraq, I don't think the larger war in which we find ourselves embroiled against Islamists principally, those who wield terror against us for the purpose of destroying this country and what it stands for, will be over. If anything, it will continue and it will take longer and be more costly to win it.
Former Commissioner Kerik spent a year in Iraq training police forces to root out the terror networks.
The people that are fighting in Iraq, they're not fighting for Iraq. They're fighting against Iraq. They're fighting against Iraqi freedom. They're killing their own people. They're doing so in an attempt to prevent freedom from growing in Iraq.
Whether he saw it coming or not, President Bush has forced an epic showdown, a fight to the death in the heart of the Middle East. On one side, the architects of 25 years of international terrorism, Syria's Ba'ath Party, Iran's murderous theocracy, the Wahhabi clerics and financiers of the Arabian Gulf. On the other side, an Anglo-American army fighting to hold the door open in Iraq, to hold back the forces of hate and murder long enough to allow something civilized and decent to sprout in the Middle East.
Now, as they see it, and this is the message of Osama bin Laden and his like, there has been a global struggle between the believers and the unbelievers since the advent of Islam in the 1400 years ago. It has gone through many phases: attack and counterattack, conquest and reconquest, crusade and jihad and the like. Now we are in the final phase. They see it as a global war against the unbelievers, to be ended with the final universal triumph of Islam. And what I find most worrying is the lack of realization of this in this country and elsewhere. Failure to appreciate the nature of the conflict in which we are at present engaged.
He should have been taken down, number one, just for human rights violations, much like Hitler should have been taken down early on. But they waited too long, and we waited too long for Saddam, in my opinion.
I believe it is worthy, yes. We're here for a reason, is to help them establish a government, and they can't establish it as long as these insurgents are running around running the city. And we signed up to do this. We do what our Commander-in-Chief says, and we're here to do it. We're not going to stop until it's over.
I call it the long war of the 21st century. Is going to last for decades, not years. It's going to be more like the Cold War, interspersed with fighting here and there, but a war over the allegiance of large numbers of people. Some of it fought intellectually, some of it fought culturally, some of it fought with weapons. In a way, I think the mullahs in Tehran and Bashar Assad in Syria are sort of like weather vanes put on backwards. If they are happy and relaxed and looking toward a long lives ruling the people of Iran and Syria, we should be worried. If they are wringing their hands, worried about demonstrations, worried about getting thrown out of office, then I think we should be pleased.
شاهد رژه آموزشگاه نظامی نیروی زمینی ارتش.
My heart is broken to see what this administration has done in the name of the American people.
He betrayed this country.
The Bush administration must be held accountable for what they have done.
All hail the new religion of the left.
I had feelings welling up deep inside me.
Bush hating.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
George Bush! George W. Bush! To take the loyalty and deep patriotic feelings.
Do you see any parallels between Bush and Hitler?
Definitely parallels. How similar we are to 1930s Germany. We are turning into a despotism.
And all hail the prophet who revealed the new religion.
We live in a time where we have a man sending us to war for fictitious reasons, whether it's the fictitious of duct tape or the fictitious of orange alerts. We are against this war, Mr. Bush.
The new prophet received the word. And out came a movie, Fahrenheit 9/11.
I expect a lot of facts, a lot of truth coming from it.
Michael Moore's film is full of lies, some of them deliberate, and distortions, but it is itself a lie and a distortion. The Unocal pipeline deal, which takes up so much of the film, the idea of building a natural gas pipeline across Afghanistan. By the way, I think Afghanistan could use a pipeline and a lot more infrastructure too. But whether it's sad or not to say, in 1998 that deal was dumped, it was dropped. I think it was dropped around the time that Clinton rocketed the Al-Qaeda camps in Afghanistan. So it's complete nonsense to say this, and it takes 1 second to check. But people sit enthralled in the dark thinking, finally I know the truth.
I cried a lot. I laughed some. And mostly I'm so angry at George Bush.
Well, then on to the next conspiracy, because Moore just heaps everything together. The other thing you have to know is that the Saudis decide everything in Washington.
For some reason, the Secret Service had shown up to ask us what we were doing standing across the street from the Saudi embassy.
I didn't realize the Secret Service guards foreign embassies. Not usually, no, sir.
No. Did they give you any trouble, Saudis?
No comment on that, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take that as a yes.
You are pushing an open door with me if you say that Saudi Arabia has too much influence in the United States and that Prince Bandar has too much access to the administration. But the Bush administration has removed from power two regimes which the Saudi Arabian government wanted to keep. The Taliban regime, of which it was actually a part author and patron and sponsor, and the Iraqi Ba'ath regime, which acted as a buffer in Saudi Arabia's mind against Shiaism and, of course, against democracy.
The opinions are his, but the facts are the facts.
I'm here to help the Democrats, especially the leadership, rediscover a bit of its spine.
We need someone like Michael Moore to not only wake up and get the backbone in our party, but get it back in America.
We have to understand that these people don't get it. You either get it or you don't get it about this global war on terror. They certainly don't get it, and you cannot depend on those factions to defend you and your families.
I remember the morning of Friday, I guess the 14th, when the president came to New York City. The president and I and Rudy Giuliani and the fire commissioner, the governor, we went down to Ground Zero, and there were hundreds of thousands of people as we rode up West Street. They had signs, you know, I love George Bush, I love the United States, God bless America, go get him George, and all these signs, hundreds of thousands of people. Where are all those people today? Where are all those people as we fight this war on terror? Where are all those supporters? Where are all those congressmen and senators that came to ground zero and cried within days and weeks after?